Welcome to the another episode of the Ravinada Show. Today we have one of the amazing guests, okay, who is the founder of Ishvastu, who is the founder of Infinite Grey Constructions, founder of High Income Construction Professionals, and HICP mentor. From just a professional to being a businesspreneur in construction field and taking the science of Vastu Shastra to the global level. And that is what her vision is. And when it comes to her achievement, she also have won Best Promising Woman Entrepreneur in Construction Award. Not only this, but she has also achieved a National Quality Excellence Award. So please give me a warm welcome. Together, let's give a warm welcome to none other than scientific Vastu expert Shruti Deshpande. Welcome to this show, Shruti.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you for this lovely introduction.
Thank you. Thanks for joining this show. So, Shruti, could you give a small introduction about like who you were before to becoming a successful scientific Vastu expert now?
Yeah, so, basically by profession, I'm an architect.
Mhm.
So, before architecture, I did my diploma in interior designing. So, first I learned the interiors, then I learned the exteriors. And then I had my own consulting firm where, we used to design buildings, we used to design bungalows. And this was going on for, maybe 10 plus years. I was into consulting business. And about scientific Vastu expert, we all know, that Vastu Shastra is actually everywhere it is being used. Whenever we buy something, whenever, people have to buy a space or have it on rent, they always see Vastu as a very important factor. So before, being and learning into this vast knowledge, I was just a consultant who was, working like any other architect in a very traditional way, not thinking of any unconventional methods, right? So was a normal architect then.
Great, great. Good to know that. And so, from this particular journey, okay, so what was your biggest turning point in life which actually made you to become a strong woman entrepreneur? Because, well, was this like you born as a strong woman entrepreneur, or the process which was being taken through from the life journey and everything, and that is how actually shaped you to become strong and becoming that iron lady of inspiration?
So, this quality inside me that, being uh, doing things on my own. I think this was something inherited in me, when I was small. So I was, we get to know our own personality that, we don't like somebody to dominate us. We don't like somebody to unnecessarily tell us what to do, how to do, when to do. So I knew that from childhood, I would not like to be the person who would, listen to somebody's commands. That was something very prominent inside me right from my childhood. And somewhere I think this credit goes to my parents because they never, they never like, actually forced us to do something that was not, meant to do by us, or that was not in our capabilities. They always gave us a free hand to, explore and everything. So I was, very, very, I had that leadership quality maybe, or wanted to do things my way. So I think that was something from childhood I had inside me. And I think that was the base where, I started the entrepreneurial journey. Because when I graduated, I had the path of, doing a normal job or actually settling down abroad, doing masters in design. But I chose to be an entrepreneur, and that too in my own city, because I thought that, I think this city needs me, or maybe this place needs me. So I think that's how this journey began.
Great, yeah, good. And what were the limiting beliefs, if you see? Okay, because was this easy? Because when someone is asking you to do something, and specifically like the tradition, which especially in India, which says to do something like which everyone, the common people are doing. So you also need to follow the same particular crowd. But you did not do that. You always wanted to do something of your own. Whether like most of the time there was a clash used to happen between the parents' thinking and point of view and your point of view. And how did you manage that particular thing?
So if you ask about the profession, I was very much clear that, I wanted to be in this profession since, I was at the age of 14.
Hmm.
I was very fascinated by this profession. Maybe, the outcome of the profession, that is the buildings, beautiful buildings. And by that time, we visited so many different places, like those are very marvelous in structures, that intricate designing and everything. So I was very fascinated. But there were not many people in this field from our family. Only one sister of mine, and when she got to know that I want to be an architect, so she just called my mother and said, "Oh, please don't make your daughter choose this field. This is very, very this field is very hard, and hard work is there, and lot of struggle in this field. Being a woman, being in a construction field, it's really difficult." So my mom said, "Okay, like I'll try to convince her." And she came to me and said, this sister is saying that please don't uh, go in this field. It's very, tedious, very struggle, very much struggle. And I said, okay, but I would love to do this. Even if struggle is there, better to struggle in the field that we love than to be at peace in the struggle that we don't love.
That's good. That's a completely different approach, which I see. And thanks for sharing that because that is something which is very important to whoever is listening to this particular show. They need to be aware of. It's could you repeat that particular thing so that like it let that sink into the audience?
Yeah, like it's better to struggle in the things that we love to do, whether it is hard, still you would love to struggle in that,
Hmm.
but not to not to struggle in the things that we don't love at all.
Exactly.
And whether it is also comforting, you would not feel that peace in whatever you do. So that's that's how I chose this field.
Yes. So what were your limiting beliefs actually which were stopping you from achieving or do you doing what you want to do in life? Like could you help us understand like top 2 to 3 limiting beliefs from childhood till now which was actually stopping, which that was just a belief but that was not the reality or the truth which was stopping you?
So from childhood, there were no limiting beliefs as such, because I was raised such that I had equal opportunities like any other girl or a boy. I used to play football at state level. I used to be very tomboyish. So any and every possible thing that a child has to go through, irrespective of the gender, my parents gave that opportunity. But yeah, when I entered into the profession, I got to know that there is some. I used to feel that hesitant energy around the professionals. When a woman used to enter the corporation of any city, I used to see that there is not a single woman there. I was the only woman, and I was looked upon like an alien there. So earlier I used to feel that why, why many women are not coming, why I am only the woman sitting here, and how will I sustain in this field? How will I grow? Right. So these, I think, all were the initial fears or the limiting beliefs that I used to feel in the initial 2 3 years of my period of my profession.
So apart from this, was there anything or other which was actually stopping you as well? So thinking maybe like no, you're not being that much confident because definitely when the journey started, you were the alone. Like you think because in this particular industry, there always we can say that it's a male dominant industry when it comes to the construction field and everything, and you being as a one person to like many like tens of hundreds of things. So when you started this particular journey, okay, this is something which I want to do but it's not easy. Were there any other beliefs also which was actually stopping you?
Yeah, I mean, like women in this industry are perceived as, they like, why will they work so hard, and
Mhm.
why should we? They have other responsibilities also. Will she be able to do the justice? If we give her some kind of project, will she be able to pull it off? Already she is taking so many responsibilities at home. So I think I went through that period of time, that doubts, that pre-notion about a woman in this field, that she would not be able to sustain on site, harsh sun, raining, or like all those stuffs. So yeah, I think I went through lot of such things. But it was in the initial phase, and slowly, steadily, I think people also got used to see me everywhere in the city. So I think that was a moment of change.
Good, good, good. So could you really tell us like what really is Vastu and the science behind it?
Yeah. So Ravi, like Vastu is very, very underrated. Science in our country. It's so much of, it's a worth of. I think we cannot measure that, because if something gives you abundance, abundance in form of uh, your mind, keeping your mind well, your emotions well, your health well, your physical body well, what measure would you put for that thing? I think it's priceless, right?
That's correct.
So similarly, like as we can see, this universe is limitless. We cannot say that, if we take something out of it, oh, this would get finished or this would extend. No,
Right.
because the amount of things the universe holds is infinite.
Mhm.
Similarly, the science of Vastu, if it is followed and used, we can take 100% benefit of this science of construction, which can actually lead to many things that would actually help to increase the health factor, the finance factor, the relationship factor, and everything that is required for a human to live in abundance. And it's a pure science. So what and why I am telling this is a science, because everything that is inside our body, right? We are a part of this universe, right? So the universe and our body are correlated. They have a synergy with each other. Vastu exactly analyzes the similarities and the disparities between a human body and a universe and tries to balance it. And when we are in balance or in sync with the universe, obviously everything in the universe we get that,
Oh, that is
right?
interesting. So, like, there are so many things which we don't know, and especially in the Vastu, it's all related to when it comes to energy and the kind of energy which is all over the place in the universe. When we are synced and balanced with that energy, so things starts working.
Yeah. Like for example, if I give like if if you are on a vacation with a
Mhm.
family on a beach, until the energy there, the wind energy is very soothing, very calm, you would really enjoy, right? But if
Yes.
you see a big wave coming and the winds are changing like a storm or like a tsunami, people
Mhm.
would run haywire. Why? Because the energy there is getting disbalanced, right?
Very
So
nicely put up.
this
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is something people need to understand, that when it is in balance and sync with our human body, we feel the pleasure, we feel the calmness, we feel happy. But when it gets disturbed, we start to feel anxious, we start to feel the fear, and all that can be balanced through this science.
Great. Okay. Now, why do you think that Vastu is really, really very important if someone buys a new home or a new office or building a new house compared to the person who is just buying as it is, like whatever it is, the direction and point and anywhere? Why do you think that is very much important?
Yeah, so first of all, the science of Vastu Shastra is dependent on the norms of the nature, right? And nature everywhere has same principles. As we give example of gravitational force. Yeah, gravitational force is same everywhere, wherever you go, right? Similarly, when a person enters any house, okay, the energy that the person carries and the energy of the house now gets collided. Now, if it is in synergy with the elements of a human body, then it would act in the favor. Okay, but if it is not, they can turn against the same human body also. And then that we call as negative energy, right? So, negative energy is nothing but the energies that turn opposite to us and that are not towards us. And there we feel, disbalance, instability, all those things. So I think whenever a person has to buy a new house or any new space, Vastu is nothing but checking is the balance, energy balance, proportional to the balance of the human body. And if it's not, then what can we do to balance it? So if anybody doesn't check whether the house is in balance or not, then they would eventually they would turn up. So that's why many people after many years turn up to ask to experts and ask them to check their house. Oh, is everything okay? Why? Because they experience some things which are not in proportional, which are not in balance with their lives. So I think that's why it's very much necessary in today's modern times also, where everything is changing. The environment is changing. The balances of the elements are also, changing. So that's why it's very important that construction being a very major factor or developing factor on earth, because we are constructing so many buildings, so many things, that is actually imparting some disbalance on earth. So we need to be very cautious while doing that. So I think that's why it's very much necessary for any inhabitant to check that.
And the things which you have shared, that is very right. Because sometimes, like when you go to a particular house, unit, or maybe any kind of office, any like the moment you go enter the house or that particular office, you can see that particular vibes, you get that vibes, and that can be somewhere like the good energy also. Sometimes it's completely negative energy, immediately we come out of that particular thing.
Right.
And if I have to ask you whether for some person when he is buying that, let's talk about, okay, one building or a one unit which is pending and which is about to sell in the construction thing, okay, a person wants to buy that particular house, okay, will the vastu will be same according to that person, the one who wants to buy, and also there is one more who is waiting to buy in case if this person is not buying, the person who is the second buyer and he is entering that particular house and he wants to buy. So is that vastu will be the same or it will be completely different compared to that person's energy and everything as well?
So very good question. And actually the answer cannot be, very superficial. It's very deep actually. Vastu is not same for everybody.
Oh, correct.
And that's a very much, a myth that, oh, for everybody it's same. So you go and buy any house that is according to Vastu. No. It has some very peculiar things depend upon who is the owner, what profession he has, what health problems are they facing right now. Right? If they are facing some health challenges and that person is going to that particular unit where the energy remains same, that person will not heal faster. But if that energy in that house is in synchronization where the health factor would be taken care of, so that particular house would favor that person. So not for everyone, it depends upon many intricate factors. It also depends upon the family structure. It also depends upon what are the age of the family members. So very, small thing like A couple cannot have northeast room because it is considered to be a place of spirituality where a positive energy comes and goes. That doesn't mean that they can't occupy, but if we can have some different function there, instead of, we can have a study there, it may give good results instead of placing a bedroom there. So everything has its own place, and that too depends upon the person who is entering and the family structure. So I think it's a very vast science, but yeah, it's not same for everyone.
Great, that good to know that, because might be like the audience, whoever is listening, they might be thinking it's just the matter of like, because all the constructions, most of the construction project and everything, they any which ways, because they say that according to the Vastu, this has been built, and then it doesn't matter like any unit you are going and just investing in that and buying that particular property, it would be absolutely fine because it's a Vastu constructed. But now when you were able to give that deep knowledge that it's not about the Vastu as well, Vastu is a key, but also it depends upon the person who is investing in that based on his family structures and everything. Great. Now, Shruti, like, does Vastu is something which only has more power in Asian country, or do you think it is overall in the world? Maybe it doesn't matter whether it is in UK or US or how it is like perceived, and it is more powerful in anywhere you go towards the world.
So Vastu is something, see, what is the difference here is Vastu is the science of construction. And this science of construction takes into account the natural phenomena, the natural elements, and most importantly, the sun path. So why it's more famous in Asia? Because the sun path is same, right? But that doesn't mean that it doesn't work in foreign countries. The natural elements are same. There are 5, elements on which Vastu work. The same human body, the same functioning, everything is same. So whatever laws, we follow in India, the same laws are followed in the other countries as well, right? But it depends upon the sun path. And also, again, going more deep is the activities that you perform. So there is also a behavioral pattern which we observe. So sun path, behavioral pattern, all these makes the place, congruent with the Vastu of that place. So any country can use Vastu Shastra. So I think it's a global science of construction.
And when it comes to the awareness level and more popularity, when it comes to it is in the Asian country, and especially in India, definitely there are so many people believe in this particular science, and they do things accordingly to the Vastu. Yeah. And also we would like to appreciate because you have a vision wherein you are going to you are taking this Vastu to the global level. How does that vision formed, and like what was that inspiration behind that?
So earlier, the seed of Vastu Shastra, curiosity of Vastu Shastra was in me right from the beginning of interior days when I used to learn. We had this subject on Vastu Shastra, and that time I was very small. I didn't know why we are learning this subject. Then when I went on for graduation, this was not taught to us at all. It was like, oh, it's superstitious. We don't follow it. Architects don't follow it. It hampers the creativity. This is something, was inculcated in all the architects, that we are not, we are modern architects. We don't follow this kind of superstitions. So I used to always feel, why architects don't follow this? Let me see what it is. So I started digging more into this subject. And the more I learned, the more I researched, I found that this is just a treasure, and people are just, they don't want it. Maybe they are just ignoring the big treasure that India has. And if this treasure is used in a very proper way, I think all the problems that is happening because of this, environmental problems, at least due to construction, this would be solved on a big scale, on a global level. and the ratio, the because every building has an impact on people, its residents. So I think the impact would be positive. So with this vision, I started this, and I felt that why only India? People in India know the importance. Maybe it's a blind belief for them. But as Feng Shui is very famous, everywhere people talk about Feng Shui. Why not Vastu Shastra? Because it's same, it is ancient as Feng Shui. But then why people don't know about it? So I thought that why not to take this science, at a global level where people would get, aware of such science and also appreciate India for its traditions, because India is always being on the top, when it comes to Vedic traditions. And even we can see the different innovations. So I think because of that, I felt we should take it to global level.
And great, like you, we are totally inspired about you to taking it to the global level and bringing that awareness and sync according to the balance towards the nature and the universe. And you said it right. It's like from Vedic. Now, is this something Vastu? And you also talked about the Feng Shui. Okay, and the other thing is astrology. So, what would you say when it comes to astrology, Feng Shui, and Vastu? Does this works hand in hand, or it has a complete different philosophy, or it is like it is little bit like here and there? So what would you like to say when it comes to all these three?
So if we talk about Feng Shui, China is equally a traditional, country
Mhm.
where they have treasured their own traditions. They have kept the traditions alive, right? And so has India. So Feng Shui is also, art of construction, but it's not exterior construction. It deals most with the interiors of a house. So whenever you will see Feng Shui, products, they are mostly put inside a house, like in a room, or at the entrance. But it doesn't count how the building should be constructed. Vastu is something which takes care of the external design of the building as well as interiors of the building. So here, if we see the differentiation between two, Vastu Shastra is much ahead when it comes to designing of the building, entire building plus the interiors, whereas Feng Shui considers only the interior part of a building, right? So, and also astrology. See, astrology has nothing to do with a building. It has to do with the human being. For
Mhm.
example, the birth, the what was the condition of the different planets when that
Mhm.
person was born, which
Mhm.
planet would have better impact,
Mhm.
so all these things, astrology is different, Feng Shui is different, and Vastu Shastra is different. But here, a very peculiar thing about Vastu Shastra is Vastu Shastra incorporates all these three things, right? Astrology, Feng Shui, that is interior of a home, and also the exterior science. So I think that's the biggest treasure, that Vastu has everything,
Oh, so
right?
it's
That's why
it's
it's a very
completely
rich science.
yeah, it's completely as a whole package, like which someone can follow it.
Right.
Great, great. So now we have come towards the end to our part. Now, what would be two things? Okay, one is what would be the tips you would like to give for someone who is buying a new home, especially for someone whose home he wants to prosperous, like more wealth to come. And second, related to health, what would be that tips would be?
I think first of all, consult a scientific Vastu expert. Not only
Mhm.
Vastu expert, but somebody who would tell the science behind it. That why should you buy that home? And unless and until your logical mind is satisfied with it, don't try to just go with a blind belief. So I think consulting an expert is very much important in that. And in modern times, knowing the science and the logic behind is very much important. So I think first and the foremost thing is that. And the rest, I think the expert would take care.
Okay. So where would do you think like especially if someone wants to get in touch with you, okay, as you are one of the scientific Vastu expert, okay, how can they get in touch with you? Like maybe in the social media or how it is?
Yeah, so we have our social media page, Ish Vastu, that is Decode the Science Behind Vastu Shastra.
Mhm.
You can always message in that group, get added in that group. We have so many different kinds of, information there, conversations there, interesting case studies there. And if you anybody wants to be a part of that, you're always welcome.
Yeah. And what would be any tips for the Vastu, like especially someone who is working from home or maybe buying a new house, like who is not in the position wherein like go and consult to the Vastu expert, but as a general thing, what would you
Yeah.
like to tell them?
So Ravi, this also depends upon what kind of profession that person is into
Mhm.
while working from home. So certain directions favor certain activities. For
Okay.
example, if a person, has a work majorly of a communication. So I think
Mhm.
the northwest part of the house is better because that gives speed, and facing towards the north or east would be beneficial because it's the direction of, leadership. It
Mhm.
gives you that power, leading power. So I think commanding over your communication is much needed at that particular time. So northwest corner and facing towards northeast, that would be, the one thing which I can tell right now, just superficially. But yeah, going more deep into the profession, we can analyze more and tell about this.
And anybody who wants to like have a great health specifically at home, what would be you would be suggesting for that?
So get exposed to, maximum of northeast rays where you can have a garden, have an open space more in that particular zone, because from there you get the most positive rays, right? So I think northeast be in mostly in that particular zone.
Great, great. So till now, like we already got like so many secrets revealed when it comes to Vastu. Like many of them, they were just thinking Vastu is nothing, like where we can just ignore it. But now, when you talked about the science behind it, it actually starts making sense towards that. When and it just gives you a slight edge towards your success, towards your health, and towards your wealth and everything when like someone like you who already are expert in this particular field. So overall, like whoever is watching this particular thing, like I would recommend that get a Vastu expert consultant, okay, and also you can get in touch with Shruti as well, okay, and you can follow her page. Now, as per overall experience, what is that one thing you would like to tell, like one mistake which you have learned in this particular thing, which you would tell the audience that not to this do this particular, maybe that related to Vastu, or maybe that would be related to overall your life experience, journey experience. What would that advice you would like to give before we end this particular conversation?
So, Ravi, we say one thing, when it comes to Vastu, that when your home is healthy, you are healthy. So I think this is something which, I would like to tell everybody, that you never see your home that it should be healthy. We try to keep our human bodies also healthy, right? But
Great.
what if your home is not healthy? So please, also think that your home should be healthy in every way, and therefore believe in the science, right? Believe in the science and adopt it. So it's a high time that we adopt the science that is there in front of us, which our ancestors have written. I think it's the time that we follow it and take all the benefits.
Great, great. Yeah, you said that rightly because we always see that only our body needs to be healthy, but when it comes to like our home, we do not see in that particular thing. So it all goes towards that direction. Great, thank you so much, Shruti. And it was just had we like I learned a lot, and I just had an amazing time like having a conversation with you when it comes to Vastu, because this is something which is very favorite and which makes curious, especially being in India and in the Asian country, to know more about it. So thank you so much, Shruti, for coming and keep doing the things which you are doing and becoming that iron lady and becoming the inspiration to every woman entrepreneur. Thank you so much for joining the Ravinara show, Shruti.
Thank you, Ravi, for having me here. Indeed, my pleasure.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Bye.